Welcome to the Geekz 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Lil.
This is Steve.
And we've got again with us the man, the myth, the legend, Mike D.
What's up, boys?
Happy to have you back so soon.
Oh man, we don't have to download a what do you call it link, Skype link. We don't have to do it like the old days where we used to have the tin can from here to Chicago. You know what I mean? Like
the good old days of Skype.
I feel like we've been doing this for so long that technology has evolved so much.
Made it a lot easier for us too, man. Because like I remember those first few, we weren't even on cameras.
No, we were just talking. Yeah.
I was arguing with you about Jurassic World, and I had no idea what anybody looked like. It's just like, what the fuck? That was good stuff.
Too funny. So, Mike, you brought up another movie, one I was not familiar with, but for some odd reason, this movie has impacted all of us and probably everyone listening in some way or fashion because it has impacted some of the biggest video games of the 90s.
Yeah.
And the movie is Sweet Home. It's a Japanese movie, only released in Japan, with a matching Famicom game called Sweet Home as well.
Yeah.
So Mike, tell us about how you found this and what came out of this.
So I have the Jack Kirby page that I have with Tommy where we have a comic book page and it's mostly comic book related stuff, but I also have a horror page called @Master Archive. And on that page, I'm constantly, my whole stream is horror stuff on that page, your algorithm, so to speak, right? So I was watching some stories on Instagram or TikTok or one of those things, and I see this guy and he starts talking about this random, Japanese movie that nobody's ever seen. And this is the J horror movie you need to see for 2025 and yada, yada, yada. And I watched this 3-minute video. And as soon as I finished, I ended the video and I immediately texted Steve and I immediately texted Alil and I said, I found our movie because I know how much these guys love video games and I know how much they love the connection between video games and movies. And I've never heard of this fucking movie before. And I can't tell you the last time a movie has been put in front of me that's a horror movie from my lifetime, and I could honestly say, no, I never heard of that. It's like the first time, not the first time that I'm like, oh, I never seen that. There's plenty of things I haven't seen, but there's very few things that I haven't heard of, especially something that goes this deep into the zeitgeist of like existing things that I do know. And so I was immediately intrigued and I didn't know if it was going to pay off or not in terms of the actual movie because I had never seen it. But for the first time, I came to you guys with the movie that I had never seen either. So I knew I was pretty confident that if I hadn't seen it, that I thought you guys probably hadn't seen it. So it would be the first time in all the movie reviews that we've ever done together where none of us had seen the movie beforehand, because I usually pick movies that I've seen before.
Yeah.
and I try to ruin your day.
And I have heard of the game because I do collect, right? I collect NES, I have Famicom games. I've heard of the game. I have an emulated version of the game. I just never played it because it's in Japanese and I don't read Japanese. I haven't downloaded the patch or anything for it because there's so many games, so I even turned it on after you were and like tried to kind of like just smash buttons through the game just to see if I can get through a few rooms. And that was impossible. But
just pushing random things in Japanese, you have no idea what you're
I have no idid what I'm choosing.
Like, I think that symbol's cool. Yeah.
Guy sticks a katana up his butt,
but the gameplay style was weird. It's kind of like, it's a kind of like a RPG, mixed in with like a dungeon crawler, mixed in with the horror genre. So it's like you don't see that normally. You get those monster kind of things, but this was gory. There's a reason this never translated to the US, right? Because of all the blood, all the symbolism, all that kind of stuff. That they didn't give us those games. Even though we got Nightmare and Freddy, Jason, all that stuff. Those games are virtually bloodless.
Yeah, I'm not as well versed in video games as you are, obviously. I definitely played video games as a kid. I never heard of this game. But like right away when I was watching the video, I thought that he was kind of like alluding to um like Splatterhouse. Like that was what came into my brain, not Resident Evil, which is what it actually inspired. Um, but then when I watched the gameplay of it, it reminded me of Zelda and Final Fantasy at the same time. Which anybody who's a fan of the NES and remembers, they were like the early Final Fantasy games and the Zelda, the gold cartridge. You had those elements where Zelda, you were like walking through the world, but then you go into the dungeons and fight, the bosses and things like that. But then Final Fantasy had like the items and the aspect of like an RPG. That was the first time I remember like an RPG in my life, in my personal gaming experience. And so when I was watching the playthrough of it on YouTube, I was shocked because it was like three things in one. It was like cutscenes from Splatterhouse, from Slaughterhouse. It was Splatterhouse. The game is Splatterhouse.
Yeah, Splatterhouse. Yeah.
It was like cutscenes from Splatterhouse, gameplay like Zelda, and then also elements of an RPG.
The full RPG element. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is fucking damn. Like, I wish we would have got this because I definitely would have asked for it for Christmas at some point in the 80s.
No shit. Yeah. It seemed, and I definitely am going to be looking for a fan patch for translations on this to try to do the playthrough. So
just to at least see some of those cool gory effects.
Yeah. So let's get into
worse. You can go to YouTube and watch a playthrough. It's like 15 minutes, and they gotta speed play through it, and it's pretty fucking amazing. Like there's some cutscenes in there where I'm like, that was from 1989. Like wow, like that's crazy, So highly recommend.
So the movie is a small film crew enters an abandoned mansion once owned by a famous artist, Ichiro. I'm gonna pronounce this right. Mayama, to shoot a documentary about his lost frescoes. Inside, they uncover the tragic story of the artist's wife, Lady Mayama, who became a vengeful spirit after a horrific family tragedy involving her child. That got dark as shit. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, what? Like, what?
Japanese films have a way of doing that. They're like nothing, la da 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 da. Oh, dead baby. And you're like, oh god. Like,
and it's the music. It's like, oh, there's a dead kid. Oh.
that was going to be my first question after we gave our reviews. And Steve, what'd you think of the soundtrack? Because like I was so thrown off on this music score for this movie, especially the first half. I was like, they're trying to. It feels like a bait and switch, right? They're trying to settle you in on nothing. On this is just low brow kind of humor stuff, and then all of a sudden,
first note I have in my notes is interesting music choice. Very upbeat, very upbeat. Like the initial music is very fast paced and like
after the trailer for the movie you're about to watch that you get that explains the whole movie to you right before you watch the movie. That was kind of crazy. It was a new concept.
That's YouTube for you. Somebody fucking was like,
did your guys play it? Like it was like in Japanese, and it was like telling you about the whole thing. Like that was an interesting choice. And there was one other thing.
The title screen looks like a game title screen, which is pretty amazing.
I think it was from the game.
Yeah.
Like it's the same title screen, I believe, is in the video game. So you're right. It's very pixelated too. I'm like, is this YouTube or is this they just patched it from the game? But...
Well, and then also I did a little bit of research too. Apparently, the version that we watched was the reshot and re-edited version, which is the only version that's been released. The theatrical version, because Kurosawa was involved in this, the theatrical version was much different. And it was edited and reshot for video release, and there was a lawsuit and all kinds of shit. And The one nobody will ever see the theatrical version. This is the version that we got. It was the reshot, re-edited, which is less Kurosawa, more the other guy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I know that it's almost impossible to see this movie the way it was released, and all the versions that have been like kind of leaked all over the internet and that people can kind of find, because I tried a couple of different ones, and they all sucked, and they're all very low quality, and they're all chopped versions of whatever was the original version. This is like one of those true forgotten lost movies, which is great because I live for that shit, you know.
Interesting choice of film stock too. It's filmed like an 80s children's commercial, like toy commercial. Like that's the
like
film stock they used. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like the Sears Christmas catalog commercial.
Every time it changes into a new scene, I keep waiting for the show to come back on. It's like you're watching, like it's a really interesting film stock. Like when they show, like when they're walking up to the mansion and it's like the camera's kind of back behind them and there's like some grass in the foreground. It looks like a set, like that Peter Pan VHS where the lady played Peter Pan. Remember that one?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like it looks like that. But
all right, so let's start with our ratings. So we'll go Steve this time. Steve, what do you rate Sweet Home?
This one's tricky. It's going to be a weird rating. I'm going to start with a high sidekick and be able to go up or down depending on how our talk goes, because the story for me was whatever nonsensical, except for the bits we got about like you were saying with the baby and the lady and all that stuff. That was kind of cool. But I felt like I just didn't latch on to any of the characters. Like that one girl started nutting up about shadows. I was like, yo, would you relax? She needs one of your pills a little. This one, she needs to chill the fuck out. Like, but then I was a little not really following the movie all that much. But then we'll get some pretty amazing practicals thrown in there. And although I'm a sucker for that shit, anytime we get really cool practicals, I love it. Like there's a guy that's like melted. There's some serious trauma to people in this. There's some cool ghost and like demon kind of stuff. One guy turns into like kind of Ghost Rider, but not in a good way, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like there's some interesting practical stuff here. For me, I think the story and the characters were kind of whatever, but the practicals and just the artistry that went into it really nailed it for me. And the musical choices, they were just kind of bonkers. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. Because they even played some weird music when scary shit was supposed to be happening. I was like, what's going on? So it's kind of all over the place, but I do highly, highly respect the practical effects on this movie. So.
That's why for me it gets a hero. Like when that guy melted, I was like, I'm in. And then we get the story of the baby, and then I'm like, oh shit, now this all makes sense of why we have a haunted house. Like this is like your typical haunted house story, right? Like it's a slow build because like they're trying to get everybody comfortable. Like you don't want to go into a haunted house and just be scared and all of a sudden like the movie's over then, right? Like you're just running for your life. Like you got to wait for the slow burn. Weird things are happening. Even with the shadows, like, yes, I get it, but I loved it because this is low budget. They're not going full budget here. So they're using these camera tricks and these shadows to really build up that sense of dread.
I felt
that's what I like.
Irritation towards her in that scene, less a sense of dread.
I get it, but I'm looking at this.
That's just me though. Like we could just disagree about that scene.
I'm gonna give it what it is because I think there's some things also lost in translation.
Sure.
Sure. And it could be.
There's definitely a cultural divide. This is my big dumb American opinion.
Yeah, and why the music is the way it is. I don't know if they get the same type of horror that we get. I know a lot of the J horror that we've seen. Even with like the Ring and all these different things, it's very different stylized than the stuff we get. So I give it a hero though. I love the practicals. I love the claustrophobia that they're trying to do, like how the environment around feels like it's like decaying and falling apart.
Yeah, there's so many scenes of just like
there is
still like I'm gonna watch this girl tie this knot.
I
We're
wish
gonna
it
see
was
her do the whole fucking
the first
no.
half. I wish it was 15 minutes shorter, right?
God.
Like I wish that first half was 15 minutes shorter. But this to me is like that perfect movie where somebody needs to take this and remake the shit out of this thing and do like a really scary haunted house movie. Like we haven't had one of those that I've cared about. We've seen so many haunted house movies that are garbage. This one has that extra to it, and I
It's
love
weird too, huh?
this
Because it came out
story.
so early before all the other ones, and it still has that thing.
Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah. So, Mike,
I'm gonna go. So okay. I feel very similar to you guys, and I feel like I'm right in that same range. I think I'm gonna give it a sidekick, a high sidekick, but essentially I could see it over time becoming a hero to me because of the good that's in it and the potential that's in it and what it is. And although you just said something that I've been saying as someone who's been in the horror community for quite a while, I always say don't remake the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
well, we've seen it.
Don't
It's
remake
perfect.
Hellraiser. Remake the movies that didn't have the budget to make a great story great, right? You
Mhm.
know, Shockwaves is a movie where there's some Nazis who are underwater on an island and their boat sank and they're fucking undead underwater zombie Nazis. That's a movie that you should remake and do it with the proper special effects and do it the right way and make it good. Um, you know, Grizzly, a great animal horror movie where the
I
fucking
remember
bear
that movie.
looks awful, but it's a great movie because of the tension and the idea. Make it now when you could have a fucking CGI bear that looks like Groot ripping fucking people apart. Like that would be amazing, right? Like do it like that. Don't
We've seen The
necessarily.
Revenant. It can be
Yeah,
done.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, to me, don't remake Friday the 13th again. Like, enough. Child's Play is good. Like, enough. Like, leave it alone. And
I
this to
hated that
me,
remake. Child's Play
but
one. I like Mark Hamill, but I don't like that movie.
this to me is ripe for that, right? Like this is the kind of movie where somebody should come in with some money and be like, these guys just didn't have a budget, and we're gonna do it. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, that idea can backfire because we also just did The Wicker Man, and that was the model for The Wicker Man. They said we'll go in there with a Hollywood budget and Nick Cage, and we're gonna fucking remake this classic movie that everybody loves, and we're gonna promptly fuck it up. So I'm
Perfect
not
world.
saying it's gonna work, but I think this would be the golden goose for that.
But here's the thing. Here's the difference, right?
Nobody,
Everyone's seen The
yeah,
Wicker Man,
yeah,
right? Like
no,
a
nobody
lot of
knows
people
this
have
movie.
nobody knows this movie, right? So to anybody that's coming in fresh, they're gonna be hopefully right. Like if done right. Like what I worry about
See,
is
yeah, that's the
doing a
problem.
movie like this is the CG ghosts and everything. It can get really bad. It could be Ghostbusters with Frozen Empire ghosts. Like
The
I don't need
Haunting.
that shit.
Yeah,
Or
the
the
Haunting.
haunting.
I'm more worried about the
walked
suits,
out of
right? The suits that get involved and go, oh, nobody's seen this. We can change a whole bunch of shit. I think this movie only works because of the characters that are in it. It's a small
Yeah.
cast. You get two deaths that kind of really like up the stakes, and then you have like some play like, are they dead? I don't know. We're saving them. And at one point you're just down to one person. Like it has to keep that same
Yeah.
dynamic and those same beats. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
And so that's where when you said that, I was like, damn, because that's like exactly what I was gonna say. Like to me, if I made a list of movies, I could make a list of 10 or 20 movies where I'm like, this is what you should remake. And I would steer very clear of the home runs. It's usually the idea that's good, but they couldn't execute it because they just didn't have the budget or the time or the whatever it was. Something limited it, and this would be one of those examples. And to me, with the market being what it is today and horror being what it is today, video games being what they are today, I think you could really come out swinging with this and fucking really introduce something here that could do something nice. I mean, what was the one that came out this year? Until Dark.
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn. And I know you guys reviewed that one. And I watched it and I played that game when it came out, and I was like, those fucking games are scary. Resident Evil was scary. Like those games in those 90s to early 2000s were very teetering on the line of super inappropriate, to the point where you were like, man, I can't play this game with the lights off. You know, like now I've been playing for 12 hours and it's gotten dark outside and my lights are off, and I'm like, maybe I'll turn the light on.
The
Because
Quarry is
Resident
another
Evil
good
is
one,
fucking
Mike.
scary. Yeah, yes.
If you like some of those, that was a good one.
But like, to me, this is right for that. So, you know, I will say, as far as J-horror goes, it's not my favorite. Maybe over some repeat viewing that'll change, but potential, it was there. So high sidekick for me.
Yeah,
Demon
I mean,
at the end, so good.
And I
Demon
totally get
ghost
that.
ladies, that was crazy good.
It's great good.
We're going to talk in spoilers. I don't want to wait. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything specific.
All right. Well, you know what?
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Because I want to get to the specifics.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything in my general consensus where I
Right.
talked about a specific thing. So
we do that anyway at times.
I respect the format, bro.
Listen, melted guy takes not. I'm not talking about bad Ghost Rider. I'm talking about the guy who's like half his body's missing.
Cut him in half, bro. That shit was crazy.
Hell,
my man's wearing an Adidas sweatsuit, and they cut him right in half.
Even Ghost Rider guy was awesome. I know.
I was just wanted to focus on cut in half guy first.
Cut in half guy was ridiculous, especially because he was still moving and alive. I thought that was fantastic. You just see the gore following and trailing him.
Yeah. It's like
fantastic.
Black. Like, it's like just his whole like intestines and the blood was like black. Like, you know, it's just like he was cut off by anti.
Sometimes like the low quality film stock, like that just looks even more unsettling, some of those effects. So it's just really good.
And even the girl when she was sitting in the wheelchair scene, like you saw the axe. I mean, they introduced the axe. So I'm waiting for the axe. I'm waiting for the axe to hit somebody in the face, and right then and there, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Could it have been done better? Yeah, but you know what? I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I got a note on that. It says the axe ... awesome. Right? Because as soon as that guy sees the axe the first time, I was like, oh, someone's getting hit in the face with this axe. Like, I just know it's gonna happen.
Of course, yeah.
The fucking trapdoor axe is coming, and it's so ornate and it's so fucking detailed. And I was like, man,
and shiny. You know, oh my god, that's going through with some blood splatter. That's gonna look great. Yeah, I need a prop replica of that. Forget the Star Wars prop replicas. Give me that prop replica of that axe. That's what
to me, that was like, out of all the things in the movie, guy cut in half and Ghost Rider guy included, that was to me like one of the things where I was like, good setup, good delivery, paid off in the end for sticking, with it. And essentially, I was like, that's a good old fashioned memory from the movie where you're like, I don't know what the fuck was going on, but there was a guy who was cut in half and somebody got hit in the face with an axe. And like, there's a million movies like that for me with horror movies where I'm like, nah, I couldn't tell you what the character's name was, but there's one scene where a guy puts a fucking garden shear through his, the guy's nose hole, and you're like, that's gonna stick with me forever, So I'll remember the quality kill, or I'll remember the prop, or I'll remember the thing that delivers. And for me, those were the two, the guy cut in half and the axe were like, if this movie ever comes up in conversation, I'll be like, you see that guy's fucking body cut in half?
I think Ghost Rider for me is the tops. I love transformation scenes. I think this effects house, I would have loved to have seen what this effects house would do with a werewolf transformation. Like, because the way that the camera, you watched him disintegrate basically. And I love like the flares. It was like flares in his legs and arms and in his stomach going off, and he's still moving around. It was really good.
Yeah.
Really, and all the shit was leaking out of him. Dude, it was nasty. It was really
that's
good.
where this movie went from a sidekick to a hero for me.
You might be right.
Like
Though.
I like
mean,
those two,
effects
and
were
then I saw that
crazy.
effect, and I'm like, oh, this is a hero. And then you give me the explanation of why this house is haunted.
Well, you got that before this. You got that before Ghost Rider. Yeah.
Did you get it before Ghost Rider? Okay.
Yeah.
But even so, it all happened around the same time because Ghost Rider tells the story, right?
Ghost Rider rescues the girl and then turns into Ghost Rider. So.
Very true. But the story here is, it's an old house. There's a furnace you got to start up. They had a baby. The baby's learning to crawl. The baby's crawling out of their crib, all this kind of stuff. Gets into the furnace. She doesn't know the baby's in the furnace and starts the furnace.
Oh.
And that in itself is horrific, right? Like, and then so what does the mom do? The mom goes crazy, goes and steals other kids, throws them in the furnace because her son needs friends, and fires them up. That's insanity. That's the only time I would be like, give me some flashbacks of that. That would be,
I don't need specific flashbacks, but like, I can see you give alluding flashbacks.
Exactly. You don't need to see the light up.
Well, I mean, I get to see your kids in the furnace. Who cares? Like, as long as you don't.
I mean, I want to see the mom like creeping into houses and stuff. Like that would be like, oh, you're gonna be.
And then you just see like a shot from outside and like the basement window and like the furnace light just fucking fires up. See, we could do it.
I mean, but that's where I was like, oh, I really do enjoy this.
What the fuck are you doing here? You didn't even watch the movie. You have no idea what we're talking about.
Yes.
Wicker Man?
No, we're not.
No,
doing
we already finished Wicker Man.
Oh, what are y'all talking about now? Sorry.
Sweet Home. It's a Japanese horror film.
Never watched it.
Of course you didn't. We never watched it before this either. But again, the tragic storyline, the psychological tension, all this stuff to me led to that hero. And then when we got the Ghost Rider, the guy melting, I'm like, for the budget this thing had, that scene right there paid everything off.
They made this for like 38 yen for sure, which is crazy work.
Which is like $5.
Yeah. But like the truth of the matter is that the fact that they were working like a crossover property in 1988 to come out in 1989, like this, when I did the research and I was like reading about the backstory, and they were like, we have this game, and this game is going to be coming out, and we're going to shoot a movie that's going to correspond with the game. We're going to release it, and it's going to be, this thing. And then like the game comes out and it's so well received in Japan, but because it's so subversive. And then they're like, we can never port this game to America, like whatever. And then Neo Geo very shortly after that gives us fucking Splatterhouse, and they get the idea to kind of steal a lot of the elements of this and put it into Resident Evil. And to me, the backbone of PlayStation 1, those early games of PlayStation 1 are Resident Evil and Tomb Raider. Like those are the games that I think of when I think of like PlayStation 1 games, like other than sports games. And I always think about these like, playthrough games where you're like hours and hours of like cutscenes and playthroughs and whatever it is. And this was like so revolutionary for us to have in PlayStation 1. They were getting this shit probably 2, 3, 4 years earlier in Japan, and they were kind of accustomed to it. And I can't even imagine, like, cutscene in an NES game is like a one screen shot, and it's like, now go back to the action, Then I watched a playthrough for this game, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, they had this in 1989? Like, this is not fair. So yeah, it felt really cool. Yeah, it's fucking it just feels inappropriate for a Nintendo game. Like, it's too good. And it's not even ported. It's just a Famicom game, which is just crazy to me. It has everything. It has like, the elements of Final Fantasy, the elements of Zelda, but then like the cutscenes that are super scary or super graphic or super visual. I mean, I have been on a slight exploration journey over the last couple of years doing J horror stuff. and I'm trying to get more well versed in it. And the fact that something like this existed and I didn't even know about it is just so cool. I like to live in a world where things exist that I don't know, and I could completely be taken by surprise. So it was kind of nice.
So we talked all about all the deaths we liked and the great special effects, but there are some issues. Like I was saying, we had to watch that lady tie that fucking rope, loop it around that thing twice, and tie the fucking knot. And
She
like
was a Boy Scout.
when they broke through that wooden wall, we watched them break through that wall for 10 fucking minutes. Like I'm like, God damn! Can
Well,
we?
they had
hurry?
to make this a theatrical cut, right? Like,
Lord. There was a lot of that shit.
That was a real wall that had to get broken through, sir.
A lot of like, a lot of like, the camera focuses on the character that looks at something, and then it shows the thing, and then back to the character, and then they run to the thing, and then it shows them getting to the thing, and then they get down on the thing, and they look back up. It's like, would you just fucking do the thing?
I got a lot of Power Rangers out of this.
I was gonna say, I was just about to bring that up.
I don't like to mix the Power
it's-
Rangers in with my horror. You know what I'm saying?
But that is how they film things. I even
Right.
watching the Spider-Man Japanese show, right? Like it's a lot of those cuts, a lot of long drawn scenes, facial features, you know what I mean, zooming into the face and then getting like the bug eyes or whatever, like things happening, and it's just trying to build that tone. And that's why I think it's why this is prime for a remake. And probably a US style remake, so it can kind of get a broader audience.
Can I ask you guys a question? Have you guys ever seen the movie Hausu?
Yes.
Okay, so the movie,
not
the 80s. There's an 80s horror movie called House, which I love, with William Catt and George Wendt, and not George Wendt. Cliff, the guy who plays Cliff on Cheers, is in it. And essentially, that's not the movie I'm talking about. There's a 70s Japanese movie called Hausu or House. And I grew up, I knew the imagery of it. I knew the poster. I knew the picture. I knew it was like a cat face. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie? And it wasn't until the pandemic that I actually watched it. And when I watched it, it's a genius movie. It's just so well executed and so well done. It has a lot of the same idiosyncrasies that this movie has, but it seems like they had a better handle on what they wanted to accomplish 15 years earlier, because like House comes out in like 73 or something like that, and they created this timeless masterpiece of batshit crazy insane nonsense. And to me, that's what this movie could have been if they had more control or had more direction, And while that guy who made that House movie probably couldn't replicate that success again, in that moment, he captured magic in a bottle. And I think this was like they had a great opportunity, and they did cash in some good paydays, but they didn't put the whole package together. And with
I think part of that was the video game.
Yeah, with Japanese horror, though, that's the way it goes usually. It's either all or nothing. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's usually all or nothing.
I'm watching clips of it right now while y'all talking about it, and I'm just like, I see this one lady just rolling down the wall, and there's like hands going like this.
You gotta wait. There's some melting people. There's a guy that like completely melts and disintegrates. We call him Ghost Rider. It's fucking sweet.
Yeah, there's some pretty good special effects in there, considering it. Like I said, they made it for the amount of money I spend on a sandwich.
Dude, there's half of a guy walking around the floor.
Yeah, well, we
love that scene. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's wearing an Adidas sweatsuit too. I think.
That's crazy.
I think he was listening to Run DMC at the same time.
Yeah, it's fucking DMC right there.
Yeah, they're like it's
around.
Oh, it's so weird. Guys like this. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like I don't know how like I said, the House movie was something that I had known about for 30 years, but I just never seen it. And then finally one day I was like, I'm gonna watch this stupid fucking movie. And I was like, wow, this movie is great. The fact that something could exist for this long, be so influential to the people who created things that I love, and I've never heard it mentioned in an interview. I never heard it come up before. And a random TikTok that I'm looking at while I'm watching my son practice soccer fucking triggers a whole podcast episode is kind of cool. You know, I was kind of shocked that like I was gonna finally deliver something that none of us had ever seen. Because I always give you guys things that I've seen before, you know. So
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that because I love Japanese horror. I have at least a dozen or so DVDs of Japanese horror movies that I've loved. Suicide Circle, Audition,
Suicide Club is one of my favorite
Suicide
movies
Club.
ever.
Sorry,
Yeah, no,
Suicide Club was freaking crazy.
One of my favorite movies. Takashi Miike
Crazy.
is one of my favorite directors. I mean,
Agreed. I love Ichiro. Is it Ichi the Killer? Like all, you know, there's so many good movies out there that people just don't see. They just don't know of them.
Yes, Sono Sion is a good director. He directed Tokyo Gore Police and just a ton of other movies where he's just super fucking visual. He's a crazy maniac, and there's a lot of directors there that are just willing to take chances. And when you dive into that, you know, the Ringu or the Pulse or, you know, the Grudge, like the real versions of those things, it's pretty fucking dark and twisty, and you know, they don't care about nothing. They're like, yeah, here's a baby. That baby's like dipped in fucking shadow because that baby died in a fucking horrible accident, and then you know, it's also in the top corner of your bedroom while you're taking a shit. And you know what I mean? Like they randomly insert things into Japanese movies where you're like, they wouldn't do that in an American movie. You know?
No, and that goes again with creating that tone, right? Creating that dread.
Yeah.
And this one, you know, yeah, we have a guy cut in half and all that stuff, and again, I think part of why maybe it's not as to that level of dread is because they were trying to incorporate a video game with it, right? Like they were doing something that most people do now. They think about how can we be a four quadrant, you know, how do we make toys and games and, you know, plushies and stuff for all this stuff. And they were doing it with a horror movie, you know, like nobody was doing that before. Even with the original, you know, yes, we got plushy Freddy's and Jason's and stuff now. But in the 80s, when those first time those movies came out, we weren't getting that. It took years of sequels to get them to that point.
Yeah.
And they had that idea as like, hey, we're gonna tell a good story. We're gonna split our money into this part and then split our money into that part. If they would have focused on one, might have even been better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, you think of the swings and misses, and sometimes that builds the character of things to come afterwards. And the Resident Evil story, when you read that story and how they kind of took the elements of the idea and then built it, and then what Resident Evil has become, I mean, you know, I could give or take some of those movies, but the fact that they exist makes me very happy. You know, the first one or two of them I loved as a movie because I love the game so much. And then it started to get a little repetitive and silly, but at the same time, ambitious, you know, and same thing with the Tomb Raider things. Like I tie Tomb Raider into it, even though it's not horror, but to me, Tomb Raider and Resident Evil kind of go hand in hand because I were usually playing them simultaneously. And those two Angelina Jolie movies, they now might not seem great, but like at the time, I was like, these hit a lot of notes that I'm looking for in what I'm seeing. So I would love, I hope somebody listens to this and hears us and remakes this movie because that would be fucking cool.
Or
man.
buys the rights and yeah, exactly. Somebody buy the rights and
we'll go see it.
It's got to be like $60-$70. It can't be more than that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like somebody,
it's sitting dormant. Why not? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we've talked about Sweet Home quite a bit. Thank you, Mike, for bringing this.
Thank you. I didn't even know this thing existed.
Yeah, bringing this to our attention. Now I got a game to play. And that is it for tonight. This is a Lil.
This is Steve.
This is Sean.
This is Sean. And this is Mike D.
And until tomorrow night, and until next year from Mike, keep it creepy.